All right, so we are recording this so that, just so you know, you're going to be on tape. That way, Galilee does have someone who has been a longtime supporter who does not have access to Zoom, so that way we can get the recordings to her and she'll be able to watch them. Our teams have been traveling to Sierra Leone for over 20 years. 20 years, nope, it'll be 20 years in next January. The first team went. I'm going to be talking a lot tonight. In the next 3 weeks, I won't be doing nearly so much talking, so you'll get tired of hearing my voice this evening, but then in the next 3 sessions that we do, you'll hear a lot more from the in-country staff who have made recordings to talk about the programs, what they do, and how you can get involved. This is a really new way for us to reach out to people who may never go on a mission trip, or who are interested in learning about the programs, and maybe that would be the impetus to go on a mission trip, or would like to become advocates for the programs. And so we hope that you'll give some of those things some thought as you learn about the history, the culture, and the programs that we support. First off, we're going to learn a little bit about the history and background of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is located on the west coast of Africa, just north of the equator, with a land area of just under 28,000 square miles. I'm sorry, there's a fire truck going out.
There.
The country is slightly smaller than the state of South Carolina. It's bounded to the north by Guinea, to the southeast by Liberia, and to the west is the Atlantic Ocean. Sierra Leone has some of the most beautiful beaches you'll ever see in the world. There's a wide variety of ecological and agricultural zones to which people have been adapted. In the west, Sierra Leone has 250 miles of coastline, giving it both bountiful marine resources and attractive tourist potential. Followed by low-lying mangrove swamps, rainforested plains, and some farmland. And finally, a mountainous plateau in the east, where the tallest mountain, Mount Bintumani, rises to 6,390 feet. The climate is tropical, with 2 seasons determining the agricultural cycle. The rainy season occurs from May to November. And if you think about it, that's the spawning of our hurricane season. So our hurricanes come from their rainy season. This is followed by the dry season from December to May, which includes something called the harmattan, cool, dry winds that blow in off the Sahara Desert. The capital, Freetown, sits on a coastal peninsula situated next to the world's 3rd largest natural harbor. This prime location historically made Sierra Leone the center of trade and colonial administration in the region. The name Sierra Leone dates back to 1462, when Portuguese explorers saw the tall mountains rising up on what is now the Freetown Peninsula and called them the Lion Mountains, or Serra Leo. Successive visits by English sailors and later British colonization modified the name to Sierra Leone. In the 17th century, the British set up a trading post near present-day Freetown. They originally traded in timber and ivory, but later expanded to the slave trade. Following the American Revolution, a colony was established in 1787, and Sierra Leone became a destination for resettling Black loyalists. After the abolition of the slave trade in 1807, British crews delivered thousands of Africans liberated from illegal slave ships to the Freetown area. The colony gradually expanded inland during the course of the 19th century. Sierra Leone remained a British colony until independence was attained on the 27th of April, 1961. During the next 30 years, different parties all vied for power with numerous short-lived coups and a short stint as a one-party state. In March 1991, an 11-year-long civil war broke out over control of the diamond industry, resulting in tens of thousands of deaths and the displacement of more than 2 million people. The war ended in January of 2002, but had resulted in severe destruction of the country's economy and infrastructure. In March of 2014, the closure of the UN Integrated Peacebuilding Office marked the end of more than 15 years of peacekeeping and political operations to stabilize the country and oversee free and peaceful elections. Recovery was extremely slow and then was hampered by the Ebola outbreak, which occurred in 2014 to 2016. The current government, led by Julius Maada Bio, elected in 2018, has stated its priorities, which include free primary education, economic growth, accountable governance, health, and infrastructure. The population of Sierra Leone is 6.6 million people, the majority being children and youth. 36% of the people live in urban areas. Approximately 1/3 are the Temne tribe and 1/3 are Mende tribe. The other third of the population is split among smaller tribes and small numbers of Liberians, Europeans, Lebanese, Pakistani, and Indian expats. Current life expectancy is roughly 59 years. The average woman will bear 5 children. Despite this, Sierra Leone's population growth is somewhat tempered by high infant, child, and maternal mortality rates that are among the world's highest and are a result of poverty, a lack of potable water and sanitation, poor nutrition, limited access to healthcare services, prevalence of female genital cutting. Most women have had their first child by the age of 19. There are fewer than 200 doctors, including all specialties, in the country caring for 6.6 million people. That is one doctor for every 33,000 people. Nearly 20% of the children are under the age of 5 are estimated to be underweight. Underweight children are at higher risk of infection, illness, and death. The literacy rate is approximately 43%. Girls are less likely to continue their education after primary school, and child marriage is still a problem, with about 39% of girls married before their 18th birthday. The palm tree and the rice grain are national symbols, immortalized in currency, song, and folklore, and are valued for their central and staple contributions to everyday life. Different species of palms contribute to cooking oil, thatch roofs, fermented wine, soap, fruits, and nuts. perhaps the only thing more important than the palm tree is rice. The staple food, usually eaten every day. It's often hard for outsiders to grasp the centrality of rice to daily existence in Sierra Leone. The Mende people, for example, have over 20 different words to describe rice and its various forms, such as separate words for sweet rice, pounded rice, and the rice that sticks to the bottom of a pot when cooking. There's a well-known saying, if I have not eaten rice today, I have not eaten. Of course, other things are eaten, a wide variety of fruits, seafood, potatoes, cassava, but the main meal is rice, prepared numerous ways and topped with a variety of sauces made from a combination of potato leaves, cassava leaves, hot peppers, peanuts, beans, okra, fish, beef, chicken, eggplants, onions, or tomatoes. Along the street, one can find snacks such as fresh mangoes, oranges, pineapples, papaya, fresh plantains, potato or cassava chunks, and pepper sauce, small bags of popcorn, peanuts, bread, roasted corn on skewers, and skewers of grilled meat. Around the capital, Freetown, the architecture of the houses is somewhat unique, often wood and clapboard in structure. They are noticeably influenced by Creole and colonial English styles. In Freetown, large buildings have become a source of national pride, especially the government state house and the National Football Stadium, which is a central gathering place for many large events. In rural areas, houses are either round or rectangular and typically offer a veranda, central parlor, and 2 or 3 interior rooms. These may function as bedrooms or food storage areas or both. Kitchens are typically located outside of the main house and may be open structures supporting only a roof. Adequate ventilation is needed to maintain the cooking fire. Subsistence agriculture comprises the mainstay of rural Sierra Leonean economy. Cash crops such as coffee, cocoa, peanuts, and tobacco are also important. Sierra Leone's economy is largely informal, with small-scale marketing and trading of basic commodities, especially cloth, cigarettes, shoes, pots and pans, and mats. Women particularly dominate the market trade in foodstuffs. Food processing, especially of flour, oil, rice, and fish, is one of the major industrial activities in Sierra Leone. Mining was for years the dominant industry. Also, because of Sierra Leone's beautiful beaches and exotic wildlife, the tourist industry once thrived. Under the terms of the Constitution, executive power is vested in the president, who is directly elected by the people. The president appoints a cabinet of ministers responsible for various government departments. There is also multi-party legislative power vested in an 80-member parliament, whose members are elected to 5-year terms. Paramount chiefs serve in district councils, which in turn elect representatives to the legislature. There are 190 chiefdoms in the country. For all Sierra Leoneans, marriage is a mark of adult maturity and brings considerable prestige to both bride and groom. Specific customs vary by ethnic group and socioeconomic status. Almost all marriages used to be arranged between families, sometimes while the girl was still quite young. Increasingly, love marriages are more common. And I will tell you that this wedding here is actually the HCW field director, Kim Sprout, and the CRC director, Mohammed Nabu, who got married a few years ago. And several HCW family and staff went over to attend the wedding. Special fabric called a shobi is chosen, and friends and family have wedding outfits made. The word comes from aso, cloth, and ebi, family. It has come to signify unity at family events and celebrations. While many households are polygamous, monogamy is common, especially among urban and Christian families. Reports often list Sierra Leoneans as 70% Muslim, 20% Christian, and 10% indigenous believers. These kinds of numbers often mask the degree to which religious beliefs in Sierra Leone may be flexible and accommodating. One can go to a Christian church on Sunday, for example, and still make a sacrifice to one's ancestors for good fortune. Likewise, Muslim rituals may appear to dominate in some areas, yet they can be mixed with indigenous ideas and customs. Among the graphic and performing arts practiced in Sierra Leone are wood carving, tie-dyeing, batik printing, textile and fabric design, and basket making. Dancing, painting, singing, storytelling, and drumming. Many of these skills are learned in childhood and practiced throughout their lives. Okay, now I can stop talking for a couple of minutes. I would love if anyone has any questions to please feel free to ask. Don't know I will necessarily have the answer, but I'd be happy to try.
Hi, Linda. My daughter and I were just wondering what happened to the tourism industry, because you spoke of it being strong in the past.
Well, during the Civil War, which took place from 1990 until 2002, most of the infrastructure was really just devastated. And they're very, very slowly coming back. There are a few nice hotels now in Freetown near the beach. And so tourists are beginning to come back. But then again, from 2002, they were building up, and then of course they had the Ebola outbreak and everything shut down. And 2016, that was declared over. We started, people started going back in, and then of course COVID happened and everything closed down again. So it's just such a slow process to rebuild after some of the devastation that they've seen.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, so now you've had a little bit of background. I'm going to change my screen share here and share a video. This was put together by Mohammed Nabu, who used to be the CRC director. He now works for Helping Children Worldwide as the Director of Partnership Engagement, I believe is his new title. And he just went back home to Sierra Leone and he made some great film clips for us. Hopefully I am. Can you share? Can you hear that?
Linda, when you share it, it should have the option down at the bottom to share the sound as well. So you may need to stop sharing.
Yeah, I might have to. It doesn't seem to. Hold on just a minute. Let me get this. Hey, honey, can you help in here? I can't, it's not sharing the audio.
Linda, is it web-based or is it a file that you have?
It's a file.
Okay.
And it should. It doesn't seem to have the option to share the sound. Okay, well, let me play it without. Let me share it without this. It's mostly music that Nabs put in with this. So, but it's just going to give you an idea of traveling to the programs.
Rebecca, that's with the theme of our servant series this month.
Yep, Linda, our servant series this month is dancing. So.
Oh, well, I wish you could hear the dance music that he put on here.
And these roads have gotten a lot better, correct, Linda? Because
that is correct.
I know Wayne Sneed very well, and I remember Wayne and Rebecca Sneed's stories of it used to take a lot more than even the 3 hours, correct?
Yes. Yes, it used to take 5 or 6 hours. The roads were not paved the whole way, but now they are. And so it's a much easier trip.
Yeah, I think when Jason Dooley went, Rebecca Sneed was a little jealous that he got paved roads.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Now we're going to do some of the background on the programs. So hopefully you all know that Helping Children Worldwide supports 2 programs currently in both Sierra Leone, the Child Reintegration Center and Mercy Hospital. So in 1999, then Reverend John Yambasu was a pastor in Sierra Leone and visited Flores United Methodist Church, where he preached on the Macedonian call to help the people, especially children of Sierra Leone who were being affected by the Civil War. The Flores congregation was challenged in a millennial offering to do something special to celebrate 2,000 years of Christ in the world. Due to the generosity of the congregation, it was possible to not only start a street feeding program for children who were left with no family support as a result of the war, but also to create the Child Rescue Center. The CRC was a children's ministry of the Sierra Leone Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church. In the early part of 2000, a small, secure building was found and 40 children were brought in off the streets. Staff was hired and the doors of the CRC officially opened on July 4th, 2000. The center not only took care of the children's physical needs, but also attended to their spiritual, educational, and emotional needs. In addition, 100 children were identified as extremely vulnerable and supported in families with guardians. The program for these children became known as the Child Support Program. In January of 2002, the Civil War ended and the first UMBIM team visited the CRC. This 6-person team consisted of 2 doctors, a nurse, 2 pastors, and a security specialist. The team provided vaccinations and health care to hundreds of people. At the end of 2003, the CRC moved to a larger building on the edge of Bo, which included 26 acres of land leased by the Sierra Leone Annual Conference. This building had been built during the 1950s as a Bible training institute. Renovations were completed and the children and staff moved into this much larger facility. In 2004, Sierra Leone Bishop Humper shared his dream of a children's residential complex with Bishop Davis of the North Georgia Conference. The North Georgia Conference responded by providing an offering of $300,000 to start the construction of a more modern complex, which would become the future home of the CRC children. In order to complete these buildings, additional funds from partner churches, HCW, and private donations were attained. The new facility was completed in 2006. The new, larger facility allowed the CRC to add additional residential children at the end of 2006. Over the ensuing 10 years, a foster care program was started and the CRC significantly increased the number of children served by the Child Support Program. And in 2008, 4 CRC students were the first admitted to university. Following a 2016 directive from the Sierra Leone government in partnership with UNICEF to deinstitutionalize orphan care, the CRC began the process of reintegrating all remaining children from residence back to family-based care and transitioned to family support. This was successfully completed in 2019 with additional programs developed for family counseling, microfinance workshops, and social worker case management. In 2019, the CRC officially changed its name from the Child Rescue Center to the Child Reintegration Center, and now works directly with the Ministry of Child Welfare to continue integrating children separated from family support. The CRC has also become leaders in reintegration efforts for other orphanages in West Africa. The newly formed Transition, Coaching, and Mentoring Department held its first 2-day workshop for orphanage leaders in October 2020, with plans underway for expanded workshops later this year. That's the background and history of the CRC. Does anyone have any questions about the Child Rescue Now Reintegration Center?
Linda, how has COVID, and this relates to this and not necessarily to the Mercy Hospital side, but have you seen any impact from COVID with children in the community losing parents or caregivers that have caused a need for any housing for those children, or is it still, are you still able to maintain the family-based structure, which I know is the preferred way to do that and to support those other family members that may be stepping into the biological parent's role? But has COVID impacted that at all any?
It's very difficult to say because the mortality rate in the country is so high normally. We have not seen a significant increase during COVID, but then Sierra Leone also does not report high numbers of COVID cases. That may be not accurate, because the government, in order to get a COVID test, you have to go to a government facility. They control all of the testing, and it costs about $80 to get a COVID test. Most families can't afford that, so probably the COVID rate is being underreported, but they have not seen significantly high rates of mortality either.
Linda, on the preference in 2016 from the government to reintegrate the children with families, were there parameters around that? Are these kids with people who are actually related to them, or are they just really truly foster families?
It's kind of a mixture. The UNICEF and the UN had come up with some guidelines. It's very difficult to implement them in the country because there's not a lot of oversight. The CRC actually is, the government has been working directly with the CRC using the way that we did the transition as a model for how they want other orphanages and residential facilities to transition their children out of institutionalized care. So we were very successful in doing it, but what we work with other organizations, they do contact tracing. So when a child is brought in who's been living on the streets or has been living in an institution, they do contact tracing to find where their family is originally from, why they no longer live with their family. So whether it's if there was abuse in the family, if there was child labor, or if there was child trafficking, they make that assessment to make sure that the home is a safe place to return the child to. So they wouldn't take a child and put them back into an unsafe environment. That is always the preference, is to place the child with biological family, whether it's parents, grandparents, aunts or uncles. That's always the preference. If they are unwilling or unable to care for the child, then they will look for a foster family. But most of the children in the programs, the different programs that we have supported over the years, most of them go back to their biological family. Any other questions about the CRC? Okay, well, I'm going to move on. We're going to talk about Mercy Hospital. So from 2002 to 2005, UNBIM teams to the CRC provided intermittent medical care to the CRC children, the staff, and Bow residents. When news got out that US doctors, nurses, and other medical personnel were visiting Bow, people would flock to the facility. Treatment at the local government or private hospitals is fee-based. payment must be made before treatment is given. Otherwise, the patient is turned away. The need for a permanent medical facility that provided care regardless of ability to pay was obvious. In 2005, Bishop Tumper established his vision for a permanent hospital on the grounds of the Bible Training Institute. In 2006, a challenge grant raised $250,000 to fund such a hospital. Renovations to the former CRC residential building were started. In October 2007, Mercy Hospital was officially opened to patients. Mercy is a 25-bed primary care hospital, diagnostic laboratory, and fully stocked pharmacy supplied with pure, reliable medication, serving the people of Bow and the surrounding community. Mercy Hospital employs highly trained medical staff led by a licensed physician and a state-registered nurse midwife. Mercy's reputation for quality medical care, regardless of ability to pay, has steadily grown. Currently, Mercy Hospital cares for nearly 1,000 patients monthly and provides a number of important programs to the community. While Mercy sees all patients, its primary focus is maternal and child health. Current services include the prenatal health, nutrition for malnourished children under 5, malaria testing and treatment, HIV/AIDS testing and counseling. The lead program for Mercy is the Village Outreach Program, which takes services directly to those who have no access to healthcare facilities. Each month, the Village Outreach staff visit 11 catchment areas, serving over 55 remote villages on the outskirts of Bow. In 2017, Mercy received a generous grant to build a surgical wing to address the needs for minor surgical cases and cesarean sections. Until this point, if a woman came in distress and needed to have a cesarean section, Mercy Hospital did not have the facilities to do that, and they had to put her into an ambulance and take her to another hospital. This wing was officially opened in January of 2019. With a highly educated staff, a fully stocked pharmacy, and an on-site laboratory with collaborative research projects between Jolly University and the U.S. Naval Research Lab, Mercy Hospital is reputed to be one of the best hospitals in Sierra Leone. So that's the background on Mercy Hospital. Does anyone have questions on Mercy?
Linda, I learned this several years ago from some other staff that are no longer with your organization, but do you have the information to tell a little bit more about the midwives that go out to the outlying areas?
They don't do that so much anymore.
They're not? Okay.
The way that the government is moving is to not have, I can't remember what they were called.
I can't either. I just remember the stories of them that they had given them cell phones, I believe, that they were
yes.
that they were able to communicate with the people in the villages when there was a woman that was in. And I remember sitting in this meeting and thinking, at Galilee, thinking, I can't get cell phone reception in this building most of the time. I know that telephone lines were always a really big deal, and in a lot of countries, telephone lines are still a big deal. And with the invention of cell service, that was all taken away because it's handled by satellites. And so it was just amazing to me that these midwives were out texting in these outlying villages doing this. And I'm sitting in a building outside of Washington, D.C., where I can barely get a cell phone signal most of the time because of how our building is laid out. And it was an incredible story to me that they were able to do that, and that the funding for Mercy Hospital was allowing them to do that and to provide that care. Yeah,
they don't do that so much anymore because of the village. new village outreach initiatives. They go to each catchment area twice a month, and they do prenatal screening so that they can catch all of the problems before it gets to the point where a mother is in distress. They know if someone has a breech baby before she goes into labor, and they can tell her, that she needs to come into the hospital, to deliver. Otherwise, deliveries usually happen in the village. Most of them are pretty straightforward, but with the village outreach clinics going on twice a month now, they can assess all of the pregnant women as well as the babies and the under fives get assessed twice a month, and they get weighed, they get measured, and then they're followed when they are in the nutrition clinic. When they are underweight, they are followed and given nutritional supplements until they reach the age to weight ratio that's set out by the United Nations and the World Health Organization. So by doing that, we're able to catch a lot of the problems before they become acute. There was one little boy who had a very bad hernia, and they were able to bring him and his mother into the hospital and do the hernia repair before it became a problem. So that's one of the benefits of being out in the rural villages surrounding the city, is that these people don't usually have access to any medical care at all. There are no clinics or hospitals or anything out near where they live. And for them to get to the city can often be very difficult because they don't have, there's no public transportation, or usually if you want to go somewhere, you pay someone a small amount of leones and you jump on the back of their motorcycle. So if I was a woman in labor, I don't think I would want to do that. Any questions about anything I've talked about tonight? Well, I hope I did a good job and covered everything. You don't have any questions? I am, for those of you who would like to do it, I'm going to give you a little homework. Just before the meeting, I sent Rebecca an email with a recipe from the cook who takes care of our missioners when they are staying in Sierra Leone. Her name is Fudia Ernest, and we actually, on several trips, we had different missioners sit down with her while she was cooking and write out some of her recipes. So we actually have a cookbook of Fudia's Sierra Leone recipes. And I've sent one of those. This is a simple recipe. It's a very common West African dish called jollof rice. It's simple to make. And if you want to have the flavor of Sierra Leone, Rebecca's going to email that to you all, and you can prepare that dish between now and next Wednesday evening. And just usually Sierra Leone food is very spicy, and it does tell you in the recipe spicy peppers, but you use them to taste. Most of our mission teams ask Fudia to tone down the spice because they eat very, very spicy food, but she understands that we don't eat that spicy. So you do use the spice to your own taste buds, but it is a very simple recipe to make.
Great, and I'll go ahead and I'll send that out following the meeting tonight to everybody's here, and then those that weren't able to join us tonight as well. And then if you've ever been on a mission trip before, or you've been involved in mission trips before, you know that one of the big things that mission trips do is actually, oh, Sally is here. Hi, Sally. One of the big things that mission trips do is fundraising. And obviously for a virtual mission trip, we are not charging anyone anything for these mission trips. But as a gift to the Helping Children Worldwide, we want to have a way for you, if you would like, and this is not mandatory in any way, they are actually running a Mother's Day campaign right now to help fund that maternal care that Linda was talking about at Mercy Hospital. And Linda, can you talk for a minute about that? About it's a $35 gift, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That actually will provide one mother with a safe delivery. If you think about, my daughter had a baby 2 weeks ago, and you think about all that goes into that, and then of course most of us have insurance, and you can go to the hospital, and but you still get that long bill with all of the charges and the thousands of dollars that your insurance company covers for you. But for $35, a woman in Sierra Leone can have a attended birth and not have to worry about having to give birth in the village with no help. And you think how inexpensive that is for just to have a healthy baby.
I'm watching Stephanie's face right now because Stephanie and I have both delivered twins. And we know that it costs $35 for you to walk from the parking lot to the hospital is what it costs. $35 covers. It's like your 10 steps from the car to get into the building, and that's about it. So I will send out that information, but it was great timing for the start of our trip, our virtual mission trip. So I thought I would send that out. Again, no obligation to do that at all. That's something that you feel called to do to help support the mission that we'll be learning about this month. I would encourage you to do that. But we'll send out the recipe and that information. Anything else that needs to go out, Linda, before next week?
I don't think so. I think that's all you need to have for next week. Next week, you will be hearing, not from me, but I'll get the share audio fixed, whatever the problem was. And you'll be able to actually hear directly from the in-country staff. We're going to cover the programs at the CRC 1 week. We'll have the staff at Mercy Hospital talk the 1 week, and then we'll talk about different engagement opportunities in the last week that we'll meet together.
Fantastic. All right, and Sally, we did record this, so I'll once Linda and I figure out the tech of how we're going to get it recorded, put on you, whatever. I don't know, Linda. I'm not the tech person at Galilee, so those of you that know Chris Smith, I'll put Chris Smith on this, and he'll take, or my 14-year-old son, one of the two. Someone will take care of it, probably not me, but we'll work on getting it into a format that those that couldn't join us tonight will be able to see it. So, okay. Linda, thank you so much for doing this tonight, and thank you to everybody else who joined us tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes, I'll see you all next Wednesday, same time.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much.